The old manse on the outskirts of the city had been abandoned for times, its formerly grand facade now worn and dilapidated. The roof was missing shingles, and the windows were boarded up, leaving the interior shrouded in darkness. The grown field and tangled backwoods gave the print that the manse was engulfed by nature itself. The townsfolk had their own stories about the manse, the utmost of them involving hauntings and ghostly apparitions. Parents would tell their children to stay down from the manse, and indeed the bold of teenagers would vacillate to venture too close. The many who dared to approach the manse claimed to have heard strange noises and seen odd lights fluttering in the windows. Despite the rumors, the manse had always fascinated Samantha. She'd frequently find herself gaping at it, wondering what secrets it held. She'd imagine what it must have been like in its high, with grand balls and lavish parties taking place within its walls. She knew that there had to be further to the manse than just ghost stories and rumors, and she was determined to uncover its secrets. It was on one particular day that Samantha decided to take a near look at the manse. As she approached the grown theater, she felt a bite run down her chin. The manse impended over her, its windows gaping back at her such like concave eyes. The nearer she got, the further she felt like she was being watched. Despite her jitters, Samantha was determined to explore the manse and find out what was outside. Samantha was a curious and audacious youthful woman, with an inextinguishable appetite for riddle and adventure. She had always been fascinated by the stories of the old manse on the outskirts of the city and was determined to explore it. She had a wild spirit and a curious nature, always seeking out new guests and exhuming retired secrets. Samantha had grown up in a small city where everyone knew each other's business. She had always felt stifled by the lack of excitement and adventure in her surroundings. As a child, she'd frequently explore the forest land behind her house, seeking out retired paths and secret clearings. As she got aged, her thirst for adventure only grew, and she set up herself drawn to the stories of the old manse. Despite the warnings of the townsfolk, Samantha had made up her mind to explore the manse. She was determined to uncover its secrets and find out what lay within its walls. Her natural curiosity and audacious spirit made her the perfect seeker for such a task. Samantha was also incredibly resourceful and had a knack for a problem working. She had a keen eye for detail and was suitable to spot suggestions that others might miss. Her suspicion and quick thinking frequently led her out of tricky situations. These chops would prove inestimable in her hunt for the secrets of the old manse. As Samantha approached the manse, she felt a sense of excitement and expectation. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and find out what lay hidden within the old manse. With a determined look on her face, she took a deep breath and stepped through the creaking gate, ready to face the riddle head-on. As Samantha explored the old manse, she came decreasingly convinced that there was further to it than met the eye. Despite her original disappointment at chancing nothing of interest in the main apartments, she remained undeterred. Her natural curiosity and keen eye for detail led her to continue her hunt, and it was on one particular day that she made an inconceivable discovery. While exploring a long-forsaken sect of the manse, Samantha noticed a strange anomaly in the wall. She precisely examined the area and realized that there was a retired doorway that had been sealed for decades. With a swell of excitement, she pushed away the debris that had been used to block the entrance and stepped into the dark room beyond. As her eyes acclimated to the dusk, Samantha felt a sense of admiration and wonder. The room was filled with a multifariousness of ancient cabinet work and mysterious vestiges, each one putatively more intriguing than the last. But it was the old timepiece that caught her eye, sitting on a fine shelf in the corner. The timepiece was unlike anything she had ever seen ahead. It was made of dark wood and had intricate busts on its face. The hands of the timepiece were formed in time, indicating that it had not been wound for times. Samantha felt an unforeseen appetite to take the timepiece with her, seeing that it held a special significance. As she made her way out of the retired room, Samantha could not help but feel that she had stumbled upon a pivotal piece of the mystification. What secrets did the old timepiece hold? And why had it been hidden down in a sealed room so numerous times? Samantha was determined to find out. Over the coming many weeks, Samantha spent every spare moment examining the old timepiece, trying to unleash its secrets. She precisely wound it up, and to her surprise, it started ticking formally more. It was clear that the timepiece held a vital indication of the riddle of the old manse, and Samantha was determined to uncover it. After taking the old timepiece from the retired room in the abandoned manse, Samantha's life took a strange turn. She started noticing odd circumstances passing around her, which left her feeling uneasy and alive. It started with the feeling of being watched. Whenever she was alone, she had an uncanny sense that someone, or a commodity, was observing her. At first, she tried to brush it off, allowing it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. But the feeling persisted, and it only got worse over time. The odd noises were the coming thing to start passing. She'd hear scratches and groans coming from the walls and bottoms, as though the manse was alive and breathing. It sounded like steps were following her around, indeed when she knew she was alone. She tried to move that it was just the old house settling, but it was hard to shake the feeling that there was a commodity further to it. Samantha's musketeers and family noticed the changes in her jest, and how she came decreasingly jumpy and paranoid. They prompted her to stay down from the old manse, saying that she was just spooking herself with her hyperactive imagination. But Samantha knew that there was a commodity further to the strange circumstances that she was passing. She felt that she was on the cusp of uncovering a dark secret, and that whatever was behind the riddle of the old manse did not want her there. Despite her fears, Samantha refused to be dissuaded. She came more determined than ever to break the riddle and unlock the secrets of the old timepiece. She spent long hours probing the history of the manse and the timepiece, hoping to find the missing pieces of the mystification. But the more she discovered, the further she realized that she was dealing with forces beyond her control. Commodity Minatory was at work, and Samantha was caught up in its grip. She knew that she had to keep going, no matter what the cost. Samantha's preoccupation with the old manse and its secrets only grew stronger as the days passed. She began to spend further and further time probing the history of the place, determined to unlock its secrets. The further she discovered, the more convinced she came that there was Commodity Minatory at work. One day, Samantha stumbled upon an old review composition that transferred chills down her spine. The composition detailed the mysterious exposure of the former proprietor of the manse, who had dissolved without a trace. According to the composition, the proprietor had been an isolate, infrequently leaving the manse and girding himself with strange vestiges and oddities. The only thing missing from the manse after his exposure was the old timepiece that Samantha had set up in the retired room. As Samantha excavated deeper into the riddle, she set up other suggestions that refocused on a dark and snide history. Rumors of retired coverts and secret chambers circulated in the city, and there were whispers of strange, unearthly circumstances at the manse. It sounded like the former proprietor had been involved in some kind of dark ritual and that the old timepiece had played a pivotal part. The further Samantha uncovered, the further she realized that she was in over her head. The riddle was far more complex than she had ever imagined, and she could not shake the feeling that commodity was watching her, a commodity that did not want her to uncover the verity. As she dug deeper, Samantha came convinced that the old timepiece held the key to the riddle. She pored over the ancient textbooks and calligraphies she had collected, searching for any suggestions that would help her decrypt the strange markings on the timepiece's face. But the more she studied it, the further she realized that the timepiece was far further than just an antique timer. It was a portal, a doorway to a world beyond her wildest imaginings. Despite the peril, Samantha refused to back down. She knew that she had to unleash the secrets of the old timepiece, no matter what the cost. But as the riddle strengthened and the stakes grew advanced, she began to realize that the price of discovery might be lesser than she could have ever imagined. As Samantha excavated deeper into the riddle of the old manse and the strange circumstances that she had been passing, she began to realize that the old timepiece was the key to everything. It was further than just a timer or a piece of decoration, and she was induced that it held the key to unleashing the secrets of the manse. One day, as she was studying the old timepiece, she noticed a small panel on its face that sounded to be out of place. She pried it open and set up a small cube hidden outside. Inside the cube was a small leather-bound book, which turned out to be a journal belonging to the former proprietor of the manse. Samantha eagerly pored over the journal, reading runner after runner of the former proprietor's studies and musings. The journal was filled with strange symbols and cryptic references, which she knew held the key to unleashing the secrets of the manse. The further she read, the more convinced she came that the former proprietor had been involved in commodity dark and minatory. The journal handed Samantha a wealth of new information, and she spent hours poring over its runners. She discovered that the former proprietor had been a guru of the occult and that he'd used the old timepiece as a tool in his rituals. She also discovered that the timepiece had been a gate, a doorway to another world that he'd used to summon unearthly realities and perform innumerable acts. As she continued to read, Samantha set up herself getting more and more absorbed in the riddle of the manse and the old timepiece. She knew that she was getting near to the verity, but she also knew that the troubles were growing with each passing day. She knew that she had to be careful and stay one step ahead of whatever dark forces were at work. The journal handed Samantha a vital indication that led her to a retired cube in the manse. Inside the cube, she set up a strange and ornate box, which she knew held the key to unleashing the secrets of the old timepiece. With pulsing hands, she opened the box and set up an ancient diploma scroll filled with strange and cryptic symbols. She knew that she was on the cusp of discovering the verity, but she also knew that the troubles were lesser than ever ahead. As Samantha read through the journal she had set up inside the retired cube of the old timepiece, she realized that it held the key to unleashing the dark secrets of the manse. The journal had belonged to the former proprietor of the manse, who had faded under mysterious circumstances, and it was filled with strange symbols, cryptic references, and musings on the occult. As she excavated deeper into the journal, Samantha discovered that the former proprietor had been a guru of the dark trades, and had used the old timepiece as a tool in his rituals. He believed that the timepiece was further than just an ordinary timer. He believed it was a portal to another world, a gateway that allowed him to summon unearthly realities and perform innumerable acts. The journal also revealed that the former proprietor had been obsessed with uncovering the secrets of the manse, and had spent time conducting trials and performing dark rituals in an attempt to unleash the mystifications of the manse. Still, his preoccupation eventually consumed him, and he faded under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind nothing but his journal and the old timepiece. As Samantha read through the journal, she realized that the timepiece was the key to unleashing the secrets of the manse. She knew that the former proprietor had used the timepiece to perform his dark rituals, and she was induced that it held the key to discovering what had happened to him and uncovering the verity about the manse. With the suggestions she had gathered from the journal, Samantha began to probe the manse and its dark history more nearly. She pored over old records and documents, talked to locals who had lived in the area for times, and indeed ventured into the depths of the manse in hunt of further suggestions. As she searched for the verity, Samantha began to witness strange circumstances, just like the former proprietor had. She felt like she was being watched and heard odd noises coming from the depths of the manse. But despite the growing peril, Samantha remained determined to uncover the verity about the manse and the old timepiece. Eventually, after weeks of disquisition, Samantha discovered a retired cube in the manse that contained a strange and ornate box. Inside the box was an ancient diploma scroll, filled with strange and cryptic symbols. With pulsing hands, Samantha unrolled the scroll and began to decrypt its secrets. As she read through the ancient symbols, Samantha realized that she had uncovered the verity about the manse and the old timepiece. She knew that she had to act snappily before the dark forces that had consumed the former proprietor claimed her as well. With newfound determination and a sense of purpose, Samantha contended against time to uncover the final piece of the mystification and put an end to the riddle formerly and for all. As Samantha continued to probe the secrets of the old manse, she eventually erected together the last remaining suggestions she demanded to uncover the verity. She had set up a retired cube in the manse that contained an ancient scroll with cryptic symbols, and as she decrypted the symbols, everything began to fall into place. The scroll revealed that the old timepiece was indeed further than just an ordinary timer. It was an ancient artifact, created by a long-forsaken civilization that had formerly thrived in the area. The timepiece was said to have been invested with important magic and was believed to be able of opening doors to other worlds and summoning important realities. Samantha realized that the former proprietor of the manse had been using the timepiece in his dark rituals, trying to harness its power to uncover the secrets of the manse. But in doing so, he'd attracted the attention of an ancient and malignant reality, which had claimed him as its own and dragged him into another world. With this consummation, Samantha knew what she had to do. She had to use the power of the timepiece to summon the same reality that had claimed the former proprietor and destroy it formerly and for all. She knew that it was a powerless move and that it could bring her life, but she was determined to put an end to the riddle and relieve the manse of its dark curse. Taking a deep breath, Samantha approached the old timepiece and began to perform the ancient ritual that she had discovered in the scroll. The ritual was violent and dangerous, and Samantha could feel the weight of the ancient reality's presence bearing down on her. But she remained bent, and as she chanted the ancient words, the timepiece began to glow with unearthly energy. The manse shook and quivered, and the air grew thick with a creepy fog. Samantha could hear the reality's whispers in her mind, trying to move her to stop, but she knew that she had to press on. Eventually, with a burst of energy, Samantha completed the ritual, and the ancient reality was summoned forth. It was an intimidating sight, a grotesque and monstrous critter with crooked branches and an inextinguishable hunger for power. But Samantha wasn't hysterical. She stood her ground and faced reality head-on, channelizing all of her strength and restraint into the final battle. With a fierce battle cry, she unleashed a blast of energy that struck the reality forecourt in the casket, destroying it formally and for all. As the manse shook and the fog cleared, Samantha realized that the dark curse had been lifted, and the verity about the old manse and its dark history had eventually been uncovered. She knew that she had put her own life at threat to uncovering the secret of the old timepiece, but she was proud of what she had fulfilled, and she knew that she had made a difference in the world. With a sense of satisfaction and relief, Samantha left the manse behind, ready to move on to new adventures, but always carrying with her the memory of the old timepiece and the secrets it had held. After putting all the pieces together, Samantha realized that there was still one piece missing from the old timepiece. She knew that this missing piece was the key to unleashing the timepiece's full eventuality, and it was the only way to break the riddle formally and for all. She was determined to find it, no matter what the cost. Samantha set out on a trip to find the missing piece. She traveled far and wide, searching for suggestions and asking anyone who might know the ancient artifact. She faced peril and obstacles at every turn, but she remained bent in her charge. As she traveled deeper into the unknown, Samantha encountered new challenges and mysterious foes. She faced off against unfaithful traps, ancient curses, and important foes, each one further dangerous than the last. But she remained determined and concentrated on her thing. Eventually, after months of searching, Samantha stumbled upon a retired tabernacle deep in the jungle. Inside the tabernacle, she set up the missing piece of the old timepiece, an important demitasse that shone with an unearthly light. As she approached the demitasse, Samantha knew that she was facing her biggest challenge yet. The demitasse was guarded by an important ancient guardian, a critter of immense power and ferocity. Samantha had no choice but to face the critter head-on, in a final battle for the fate of the old timepiece. With a fierce battle cry, Samantha launched herself at the critter, using all of her strength and training to master it. She battled the critter for what felt like an eternity, but she no way gave up, always pushing herself to the limit and beyond. In the end, Samantha surfaced victoriously, the demitasse in her hand, and the riddle of the old timepiece eventually answered. She returned to the manse, feeling a sense of accomplishment and pride, and used the demitasse to unleash the secrets of the timepiece and relieve the manse of its curse. As the old manse began to deteriorate and vanish, Samantha knew that she had fulfilled her fortune. She had faced her fears and overcome the topmost challenge of her life, and she knew that her adventure was just beginning. With a smile on her face, she set out for new adventures, ready to face any challenge that the world might throw her way. With the final piece of the timepiece in hand, Samantha snappily made her way back to the old manse, eager to break the riddle formally and for all. As she arrived, she could feel the weight of history bearing down on her, as if the manse was alive and watching her every move. She made her way to the secret room where she had discovered the old timepiece and began assembling the missing piece. As she fitted the final piece into place, the timepiece suddenly sprang to life, its gears spinning and its hands ticking down. Samantha watched in amazement as the timepiece's face began to glow, illuminating the room with a soft, golden light. And also, the timepiece began to speak, its voice echoing through the old man's like thunder. "The time has come," it said, "to reveal the verity." And also, the old man's began to shake and deteriorate, as if the weight of centuries of secrets was eventually being lifted. Samantha watched in admiration as the walls fell, revealing retired chambers and secret galleries. As she explored the manse, she uncovered a dark and minatory conspiracy, one that involved the former proprietor of the manse and a group of unrighteous culprits. With each discovery, Samantha's determination to break the riddle grew stronger. She erected together the suggestions and unraveled the conspiracy until she eventually understood the verity. The former proprietor of the manse had been a victim of foul play, and the timepiece had played a pivotal part in the crime. But Samantha wasn't happy to simply break the riddle. She wanted justice to be served and the verity to be brought to light. With the help of the original authorities, Samantha uncovered the verity behind the crime and assured that justice was served. She returned the old timepiece to its due place and watched as the manse sluggishly faded, its secrets and its curses eventually lifted. As she left the old manse behind, Samantha knew that she had fulfilled her fortune. She had answered the riddle of the old timepiece and uncovered the variety of the history. And indeed, though she had faced peril and obstacles along the way, she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that she had no way felt before. She knew that her adventure was just beginning, and she was ready to face any challenge that the world might throw her way.